In the heart of a burning desert, hidden within towering mountains, lies a city carved from stone, a place where palaces rose from the rock, water flowed like rivers, and caravans came from the ends of the earth. And then one day, it was gone. The streets fell silent, the walls crumbled, and the sands swallowed its secrets. This is Petra, the Rose City, a marvel that stunned the ancient world, and still leaves us in awe today. Petra and its geography. In southern Jordan, surrounded by desert and rugged mountains, lies a city unlike any other, a city whose reddish-pink hue has earned it the name the Rose City. This is Petra, the crown jewel of the Nabataean kingdom. Petra's beauty is not only in its color or location, but in its architecture, engineering, and the vision of the people who built it. Here, entire structures, palaces, temples, tombs, markets were carved directly into the sandstone cliffs. It was a place of ingenuity, artistry, and trade, a hub that once connected empires across continents. A strategic location, Petra's location was the secret to its success. It sat at the crossroads of three major regions: the Mediterranean Sea to the west, the Red Sea to the south, the vast Arabian Desert to the east. This made Petra a natural gateway between east and west. Caravans passed through here carrying gold, spices, textiles, incense, and precious stones, making the city one of the most important trade centers of the ancient world. The rediscovery. For centuries, Petra was known only to local Bedouin tribes. To the outside world, it had vanished into legend. That changed in 1812, when Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt disguised himself in Bedouin clothing and joined a caravan into the desert. He journeyed through a narrow gorge known as the Seek, flanked by towering cliffs that seemed to scrape the sky. After 25 minutes of walking, the passage suddenly opened up, and there it stood, Al-Khazneh, or the Treasury. The first glimpse of the Treasury. Rising 40 meters high and 25 meters wide, the Treasury is one of the most breathtaking monuments of the ancient world. Its facade is a masterpiece, blending Greek, Roman, and Nabataean styles. 6 massive Corinthian columns at the base. A circular structure, or tholos, at the center of the second level. Carvings of mythological figures, possibly Amazons. On either side, local legend claimed the treasury hid untold riches. But archaeologists believe it was actually the tomb of King Aretas IV, one of the greatest Nabataean rulers. Burckhardt's impressions. In his journal, Burckhardt described that moment of discovery. "I was without protection in the midst of a desert where no traveler had ever been seen. After passing through the narrow defile, the view of this monument made an extraordinary impression upon me. A living city, not just tombs. Petra was far more than a necropolis. It was a vibrant city with government buildings, bustling marketplaces, religious temples, residential neighborhoods, entertainment venues, including a grand theater. Historians estimate its population reached 20,000 to 30,000 at its height, making it one of the largest and wealthiest cities in the region. A cultural crossroads. Petra was a melting pot of civilizations. Traders, diplomats, and artisans from Greece, Rome, Egypt, and Arabia all left their mark on the city's art and architecture. Every pillar, every carving tells a story of cultures meeting, trading, and blending into something new. King Aretas IV and Petra's Golden Age. If Petra was the jewel of the Nabataean kingdom, then King Aretas IV was the master craftsman who polished it to perfection. Ruling from 9 BC to 40 AD, Aretas oversaw the height of Petra's power, wealth, and cultural influence, an era historians call the Golden Age of the Nabataeans. A political powerhouse, Aretas IV was not just a king. He was a diplomat, a strategist, and in many ways, a visionary. His reign was marked by both political maneuvering and architectural ambition. He clashed with Herod Antipas, the Jewish ruler who executed John the Baptist, and skillfully navigated relations with the Roman Empire, earning the personal respect of Emperor Augustus himself. The Romans gave him a rare title, Philopatris, lover of his people. This was not just ceremonial flattery. Aretas genuinely sought to improve the lives of his citizens, expanding infrastructure, strengthening trade, and investing in monumental architecture. The Treasury's royal connection. It is widely believed that the Treasury, Al-Khazneh, was built as Aretas IV's own tomb. The grandeur of the monument reflects the king's vision and status. The Corinthian columns symbolized Petra's connection to the wider Hellenistic world. The mythological carvings reflected a blending of Greek and Nabataean religious ideas. The overall scale projected the power and stability of his reign. Even in death, Aretas wanted Petra to stand as a statement to the world. This is a city of kings. A center of global trade under Aretas IV, Petra became one of the most important commercial hubs of the ancient world. Its location on the incense route meant that goods from as far as India, Arabia, and Africa flowed through its markets. Frankincense and myrrh from southern Arabia, and Somalia gold, and ivory from Africa, spices and silks from the East copper, and bitumen from the Dead Sea region. Camel caravans, sometimes stretching for miles, arrived daily, their loads transforming Petra into a city of immense wealth. Taxes and tariffs on this trade filled the royal treasury, funding Petra's architectural marvels. Urban expansion and architecture. Aretas IV oversaw a massive expansion of the city. Streets were paved, public squares were built, and monumental gates welcomed travelers. Petra's distinctive architecture flourished under his patronage, characterized by rock-cut facades adorned with a mix of Greek, Roman, and local designs, grand colonnaded streets lined with shops and fountains, public buildings that combined utility with artistic beauty. The city was designed to impress not just its inhabitants, but the traders, diplomats, and emissaries who passed through, a blend of cultures. Petra during Aretas's reign was a true cosmopolitan capital. Greek philosophers debated in its courtyards, Roman engineers shared techniques with Nabataean stonemasons, and Arabian merchants brought exotic goods and stories from distant lands. This cultural fusion was visible everywhere, in the art, in the architecture, and even in Petra's language, which borrowed elements from Aramaic, Arabic, and Greek. Aretas IV's legacy. When Aretas died around 40 AD, he left behind a city at its zenith, rich, powerful, and admired across the ancient world. The monuments he commissioned, the trade networks he strengthened, and the cultural alliances he fostered would define Petra for generations. Even today, as the sun sets on the sandstone cliffs and the treasury glows in shades of gold and rose, it feels as though Aretas IV's spirit still watches over the city he transformed into a legend. Petra, a city of the living. When most people think of Petra, they imagine its famous tombs, grand facades carved into the cliffs, silent and solemn. But in its prime, Petra was far more than a necropolis. It was a living, breathing city, bustling with trade, political debate, religious ceremonies, and daily life. A bustling urban center. At the height of its power in the 1st century AD, Petra was home to an estimated 20,000, 30,000 people. This population included not only Nabataeans, but also Greek merchants, Roman officials, Egyptian traders, Judean artisans, and Bedouin nomads. The city's layout reflected its vibrant diversity: residential neighborhoods for common citizens and wealthy elites, temples and shrines dedicated to gods from multiple cultures, government buildings where trade agreements and political disputes were settled, entertainment venues, including a massive theater that could hold thousands. The streets were alive with the sounds of bargaining in multiple languages, the clatter of camel caravans arriving from distant lands, and the steady hammering of stonemasons shaping the next great monument. The colonnaded street, Petra's beating heart. At the center of Petra was its colonnaded street, a grand avenue lined with columns and flanked by shops, fountains, and public spaces. Here, merchants displayed goods from across the known world: spices from Arabia, silks from China, glassware from Rome, jewelry from India. Water flowed through carved channels along the street, cooling the air and nourishing the decorative gardens that impressed every visitor. The streets were alive with the sounds of bargaining in multiple languages, the clatter of camel caravans arriving from distant lands, and the steady hammering of stonemasons shaping the next great monument. The colonnaded street, Petra's beating heart. At the center of Petra was its colonnaded street, a grand avenue lined with columns and flanked by shops, fountains, and public spaces. Here, merchants displayed goods from across the known world: spices from Arabia, silks from China, glassware from Rome, jewelry from India. Water flowed through carved channels along the street, cooling the air and nourishing the decorative gardens that impressed every visitor. This was the social and commercial hub, the place to hear news from travelers, negotiate deals, or simply enjoy the shade of a colonnade on a hot afternoon. Markets and trade hubs. Petra's markets were organized and specialized. Certain areas dealt exclusively in spices, others in textiles, and still others in livestock. Caravanserais, large enclosed courtyards, provided shelter for traders and their animals, offering a secure place to rest after long journeys. For a merchant arriving from Yemen with a load of frankincense, Petra was a place to make fortunes, but it was also a place to spend them, with fine dining halls, luxurious goods, and elaborate bathhouses ready to separate traders from their profits. Government and administration behind the scenes, Petra was carefully managed. Administrative buildings, likely near the central plaza, housed officials who oversaw trade taxes, legal disputes, and the maintenance of public works. The Nabataean government under kings like Aretas IV combined centralized authority with a shrewd understanding of commerce. They knew that Petra's prosperity depended on keeping trade routes safe and markets stable. Religious life in the city. Petra was home to multiple temples, reflecting its multicultural nature. Nabataean gods like Dushara and Al-Uzza had grand sanctuaries, but temples to Greek and Roman deities also stood in the city. Religious festivals brought processions, music, and offerings, blending the sacred with the social. Priests, dressed in ceremonial robes, moved through the streets on holy days, while incense burned in open-air shrines that filled the air with a sweet, resinous aroma. Entertainment and public gatherings. One of Petra's most impressive public spaces was its theater, a Greek-style semicircular structure carved directly into the rock. It could seat up to 8,000 people after later expansions, making it one of the largest theaters in the region. Here, citizens gathered for plays, musical performances, and perhaps political speeches. Greek comedies and tragedies may have been staged alongside Nabataean storytelling traditions, creating a unique cultural blend. Domestic life. While Petra's monumental architecture is famous, archaeologists have also uncovered glimpses of everyday life. Wealthy Nabataean families lived in villas with multiple rooms, courtyards, and even Roman-style bathhouses with underfloor heating systems. Their walls were decorated with painted plaster, and their storage rooms were stocked with imported wine and fine ceramics. The poorer citizens lived in simpler stone or mud brick houses, but even these were connected to Petra's sophisticated water system, ensuring access to one of the city's greatest luxuries, fresh water. A city that never slept, Petra's streets remained active well into the night. Oil lamps illuminated shop fronts, taverns served wine and beer, and storytellers entertained crowds with tales of distant lands. For a traveler arriving after weeks in the desert, Petra was an explosion of life, color and sound, a true oasis, not just of water, but of culture. Petra's life as a thriving urban center would not last forever, but in the reigns of kings like Aretas IV, it reached a peak few desert cities have ever matched. It was a city where the living thrived, and where the heartbeat of trade, culture, and human ambition could be felt in every stone. Ships of the desert, camels, and the Nabataean trade empire. In the arid deserts of Arabia, survival was impossible without one animal, the camel. For the Nabataeans, camels were more than beasts of burden. They were the engines of an empire, the lifeline of trade, and the very reason Petra rose to greatness. The camel, Petra's living symbol. The Greek historian Diodorus Siculus recorded that the Nabataeans were masters of desert survival, and much of this skill came from their relationship with camels. The camel was perfectly adapted to the harsh environment.